Was there a sense then, as you're riding Calhutta, as you're riding Mohican, did you have in the back of your mind
a sense of impending doom?
Yeah.
Yes.
For Marji?
There was
Yes.
a dark cloud over things.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, it's just been. I know some people that have ridden it, and I've talked to a lot of people. I've watched a lot of videos. I've looked at a lot of pictures, and it's Marji's in my head. Marji lives in a little spot in the back of my head right here, and it's just, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dirty Chain Podcast, brought to you by Michigan Midpack Media, the podcast that covers the Michigan cycling scene from the viewpoint of the mid-packer. I'm your host, Trevor.
And this is Sheldon.
And this is Brett.
And yes, next to us is our friend Brett Miller, local cyclist, mountain biker, gravel cyclist, road cyclist, grower of epic beards, drinker of beers. Sheldon, do you have anything to add to this list?
Well, not just beers. He likes the finer beers.
Oh, yes. Of course. But Brett is here he's going to discuss many things with us today, I am sure, but mainly to talk about the upcoming race of attrition, the Marji Gesick.
We can talk about beers, and we can talk about all of my fears.
Ooh, there you go. Beers and fears and tears.
We did.
There will be tears.
We did forget one thing that he excels at: breaker of collarbones.
Oh, breaker of collarbones.
Matching set.
We'll kind of talk about that in a little bit, but before we get to the Marji Gesick, before we talk more with Brett, gentlemen, how was your week in the Midpack?
Fantastic.
Mine was pretty good. Had a race this past weekend, one that we talked about a couple weeks ago. We had the Uncle John's Dirty Ride up in St. John's, Michigan. They have a 56-mile and a 24-mile gravel road race. Very flat, very fast.
Yeah, that was just this last weekend, September 7th.
Yep.
Correct?
8th.
September 8th, yeah, on Sunday, correct.
Sunday, yep.
Yeah.
This was a Sunday race. Great showing. About similar size field as last year. I would say the 56. I would say we had probably around 150 racers in it total.
Okay. And then the was it the 20? What was this?
24.
24 had a pretty decent amount there.
It looked pretty large, but they lined up after we do. There's a 6-minute gap between starts.
Okay.
So it's a mass start, but there is a neutral rollout. It was quite orderly. This one's only maybe about a mile long, if that.
All right. And then, how'd you do? How was the race?
It was fantastic. I rode my single speed. Kind of guessed on my gearing for this one. I ran a 42 front with a 14 rear, which spins me out at about 27 at max cadence.
Okay, well, so that's pretty decent.
Yeah, my sustainable is around 22, 23 miles an hour, and it showed. My average was 22.3. We had a huge crash at mile 21 about. Probably about 15 riders total went down, covered the entire road, split the group pretty handily. Ended up stopping, putting my bike on my shoulders, cyclocross barrier running over people on bikes, and got back on my bike and started with 2 of us, eventually turned into 3 of us, bridged the gap to the peloton after about 3 miles.
Okay. And how'd the rest of the race go then for you?
As soon as we got to the peloton, they kicked up the surge to 29 miles an hour, and I was completely spun out, and I got kicked off.
Makes sense. I mean, I was looking at some of the speeds, average speeds for the race. It was fast.
23.6 for the top finishers.
Yeah, and even in your peak form, I mean, you can't hold that with that single speed gearing.
That is fast indeed.
My average cadence was in the 120 RPM.
Yeah.
So it was high. It was a leg burner. I didn't ride on Monday.
Yeah,
I think even the winners from last year were not even over 23. So if they were topping 23. That is
Yeah,
smoking fast.
Brett, you did the Uncle John's last year, right?
I did.
Yeah, we were together last year.
Sheldon and I rode together on that one. I had a similar story as far as the crash and the cyclocross action and being off the pack. Chasing.
You ate some corn last year.
Yeah, I didn't go down, thankfully, but very, very close. And then actually had flashbacks to the year before when I did go down, and that was the first broken collarbone. So,
Okay.
But so off the pack, 20 minutes, chasing, got back on, same thing. And then they surged. It was a break about 10 minutes after I was back on the pack from last year, so...
Is this? It seems the most. I've never raced Uncle John's Dirty Ride, but what I've heard is it's fast, it's flat, fast, and then I hear about these crashes. Is this? Do you think it's because it's so fast and on gravel that you're gonna have more of these crashes, or are these
really
just flukes?
I don't think it's anything to do with like the course or the race or anything like that. I think it's just. I mean that's racing to a point, but it's just something that happens, you know, when you have people going fast and somebody makes a mistake. There's a wide range of skill sets and racing levels, and that's just kind of inherent when you get that mix going, that somebody's going to make a mistake and down somebody goes, and then it goes from there. So
yeah, the last 2 years with the last two crashes, none of them were course issues. They always have been happening long straightaways, so it's just a bike handler.
Exactly, that's what happened when they crashed just in front of me, and I stopped just in time to not crash. It was perfectly straight, no potholes, nice smooth course, and just somebody had an issue with bike handling or something of that nature.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing, and it's the great thing about gravel racing is that it's open to all abilities, but then sometimes it's the tough thing about gravel racing where unfortunately you have a lot of people packed into a small space with wide ranges of
going real fast.
Going really fast.
Yeah, because in these races, you might have the legs to stick with a group, but you might not have necessarily the handling skills because races such as this one, because it's a fairly smooth course, a lot of the handling's very crit-like. You're within inches of the person next to you. The drafts are all very tight. They're not like Barry where you kind of give a little more room.
Yeah, there's no real technical aspect to separate the group. You don't have these big climbs or a
good point.
A big, like a really difficult type of road.
Yeah, there's nothing to shatter it except for just sheer strength.
That's so you just get a big group together, and then any little mistake can escalate.
And then also, I mean, there's always that transition of the difference of surface from, people that normally race road. This might be something, since it's known to be pretty flat and smooth, this might entice some maybe more road-oriented people to try the dirt out.
You can ride a road bike in this race.
Right, which we've done before in the past. So, so I mean, you get some road people out there that maybe don't have the best dirt handling skills, and that's what happens. I actually remember a couple crashes too that were in some corners that I thought was. It was like
one guy, he slipped on some sand, and
it was like I just went through there no problem, and all of a sudden just guy goes down for kind of no reason. But
he went through really fast in a corner that, I mean, in a typical gravel race you shouldn't take as hard, and he went down, caught his chin on the ground, and it wasn't very pretty.
Well, hey, I don't want to harp on the on the crashes or the negative aspects of the race, but
yeah, no, it was the fastest race I've ever had on my single speed. I've never had a single speed race anywhere close to that speed.
It's stupid fast, for sure.
Yeah, very cool. And we need to mention that this is, of course, our local race, sponsored by Sinair Auto Lab. Steve Smith
Capital City Cycling Club.
Yep. Steve Smith does a lot of work for this, so great. I'm glad it was a positive event and went well.
Oh yeah.
So what else? A lot of stuff happened this weekend.
I did the Salsa Fargo Sub-48
yes,
bikepacking
talk
ride.
Talk to us about this.
Very cool.
I've seen this. So it is a 2-day bikepacking adventure. Where's it start from?
Weekend long. This year it's different every year, but this year it was in the Pigeon River wilderness area, up towards Wolverine, Michigan, and Indian River, kind of in between the areas. But it's a whole weekend long thing. You arrive Friday night, camp out. You can, you bring either your bike packing gear, or you can bring your regular tent, whatever you want to do, because you're going to return to this area. But so camp out, have breakfast in the morning, and then you embark on the 50-mile leg of the first leg of the route with all of your stuff loaded down, everything with you. So basically, we were looking at forest roads, kind of really sandy type 2-track forest roads. Some like skinny kind of forest gravel, and then like 3 or 4 miles of single track. But so it wasn't like really anything too bad. Although I did take my girlfriend, who is somewhat of a cyclist, but I'm pretty sure I got her in way over her head. Thankfully, she's a trooper and she grinded it out. It was on a fat bike.
So that was my next question. What were the bikes that the two of you rode?
I rode my Salsa Muckluck, and she rode a KHS All Season 500.
Now, I saw some pictures.
Which are they're fat bikes, right?
They're fat bikes,
Okay,
tire bikes, 4-inch tires, 26-inch by 4-inch.
So I saw some pictures. How heavy was your bike? Because you guys had those things just loaded up.
I wanted to kind of use this. It was sold, at least to me, what I understood was it's kind of an entry type thing, kind of get your feet wet into bike packing. So her and I have done some backpacking, and she's done a ton of backpacking. So, and I've done a ton of cycling, so it kind of made sense to kind of try to put those two together and see what happened. So I bought a bunch of gear for like packing things on the bike. She already had a whole bunch of gear for camping, light, backpack style. So we just kind of put everything together, and I think my bike. I was trying to make it like practice for doing a longer trip, and I think my bike probably weighed 80 pounds, maybe less or maybe more. I'm sorry, but yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And the ride was advertised as 1,100 feet of climbing, and when we finished, it was. I looked at the Strava flybys, and almost everybody had well over 2,000 feet. So.
Yeah.
2,100, 2,200 feet.
Almost twice as much as
some
they
people
said.
had 1,800 feet, but
Yeah.
GPS is sketchy.
On your Instagram, you had some pictures of some hills that they look, for Michigan, pretty substantially tall.
Big time. I thought that this would be a good trip to break her into some little bit of off-road cycling. And the fat bike's pretty easy. You just kind of plod along, going pretty slow. And then we came to the first climb, and I was like, uh-oh. I have made a mistake. And I think she thought the same thing. So, but yeah, she is, her previous furthest ride was like 25 miles on the road on a pretty nice road bike, but she has, she can go pretty fast. She's got some fitness, some athletic ability. So, I mean, she can average, 18 miles an hour. So, I mean, she's no slouch. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I thought we were going to be on some smooth gravel and maybe a couple of 2 tracks with some rolling hills, not climbing to the moon.
Now, Trevor, you might have some words of advice of what to say to your significant other when they are struggling.
Did you give up?
Do not listen to me in that respect. I say all the wrong things, and we can just move on from there.
Can you just give us your quote?
No.
But so it came down. She was getting pretty whooped, and I would start to see a climb coming in the distance a little bit. So I would wick it up and take off, and just rail it up the hill to the top of the hill, and I'd jump off my bike, run back down to the bottom of the hill, and I'd get behind her bike and just push her up the hill. So
well,
I just knew I wanted her to, I knew that she was going to at some point just stop being able to pedal, so I had to at least avoid that. So
well, I think you were just practicing your running skills for
that you
have upcoming soon.
Yeah, right. Yeah, good segue. Hike, a bike, running. Yep.
Just real quick before we move on from the Fargo, it was like how many participants, how many people were a part of this ride?
I would say, I honestly, I don't know the exact number, but I would say north of 150, possibly 200 people. I mean, there was a lot of people. If you look at their Facebook page, they got a big group photo. that shows everybody that was there. It was a big event. There was a lot of people. So we took up half of a couple pretty large campgrounds with all the tents and bikes and everything. So it was a very cool event. They had like a big community thing. It's sponsored by Founders. So there was kegs of Founders beer there. And
can't go wrong with that.
And yeah, exactly. It was good stuff. And then there was, a community big fire pit, so everybody kind of gathered at one big spot and just kind of socialized. And that's kind of what they stress for this is, I think, the social aspect of riding and just making, having the adventure and having the camaraderie and getting to know people, make friends. But also, in a little bit, obviously, with Jackie's ride, get outside of your comfort zone a little bit. And do some things that you hadn't done before. But so
That's awesome.
It was very cool. It's something I'll do again for sure.
That's great, and congratulations on coming out of it unscathed with your relationship.
She did not kill me. Yes, that was my major goal. She went through all the 5 stages of or whatever, denial, rage, suffering, everything. She went through it all, but she made it, so she grounded out, and yep, we're good to go. Cool. That's just a quick note. She was talking about when we got back there, everybody was at the pavilion eating, and so like everybody, we rolled by, and I think we were probably the last people in, and the place just erupted with cheers, just cheering for us and applause, and it was really awesome.
That's cool.
And then so we get off the bikes, and she's like, well, you can sell this bike. I'm never riding it again. And she's like, while you're at it, you can sell my bike back at home, too, because I'm never riding that again, either. And then,
so she went from that to...
Well, I think she learned that line from you.
Yeah, that sounds like something you said,
very, what was it, Mohican?
Yeah, I was selling all the bikes. Yeah. But so then the next day on the way home, she was talking about our plans for our next bikepacking trip. So
yeah, what a swing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Do it, Sheldon. Open it up. Sheldon's on to his second White Claw. So,
yeah, delicious ruby grapefruit.
Is that a local seltzer? No, it's not. It's White Claw.
It's no laws.
Very cool. So this weekend there were a few other events. The Alma Grand Prix.
Oh yeah,
Cross.
the Grand Prix of Cyclocross.
On Saturday.
Cyclocross.
Grand Prix of Cyclocross.
Sheldon, I mean, we talked a little bit about this. I thought maybe you'd race it on your single speed, but you had
the back-to-back. I already had my bike switched over and geared for Sunday, and it was just, I didn't feel like messing with it that close. Originally, I wanted to do it on my Cat X, but for episode 5 reasons, that bike is currently not rolling.
Yeah.
But I did order a new wheel set today. So
okay, cool.
Very cool event, by the way, to ride, race, or even spectate. Like, it's just a lot of fun.
Have you been to it, Brett?
Yes. Yep. I've not raced. I've ridden the course in some of the practice sessions that they do ahead of the race.
Cool.
But I've been up there to spectate, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to just watch and see what's going on. And they have like, it's a cool event. Like, people camp out, and then they have like a wood-fired pizza oven, so you get these killer pizzas, and there's lots of prize giveaways. I ended up getting a spare grab bag that had like a really nice pair of either Sock Guy socks, and this coupon for like a Rudy helmet that was like free, but you pay $30 shipping. So I got like a nice Rudy Project helmet. Cool. Like, it was really cool. Had a great time.
I mean, JB.
And the race is super exciting. JB does it up, yeah.
I mean, he is probably the most dedicated person to
super nice guy.
Encouraging cyclocross in the state of Michigan. He is active on social media about the race year-round. I've never seen a race that one person just carries so strongly.
Yeah, super nice guy.
Yeah, he's got quite a presence on social media or Instagram, Facebook.
And you'll see him at other races. He's everywhere. We saw him. He was at the race on Sunday, and briefly got to talk to him. Apologize for not being there the day before.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah,
I love their whole setup for their announcers booth. They pull this big giant luxury pontoon boat that's like a double decker with a fly bridge, and so it's on a trailer, and then it's on the boat, and then there's the fly bridge, and they're on top of there, like overlooking the whole course, announcing stuff. It's just really funny to see people on top of this huge luxury pontoon.
Well, they're basically, their logo it's the Scottish flag, but their secondary logo is the plastic pink flamingos.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're stuck all over along. Their sand pit is called, was it the Yacht Club?
The Avalon Pontoon Yacht Club.
And there's pink plastic flamingos all around it.
It's like a 80 or 90 foot long sand
huge.
pit. It's just like a beach. It's
like all the other ones in
impossible to ride
Michigan, half the size. And this one is a stretch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. I'm kind of upset that I missed it, but I'll have to check it out one of these years for sure.
Absolutely.
It's definitely worth it to like I said, to race or to spectate. It's really exciting, and there's so many races during the day. I mean, you can go there, and from whatever time, 10 to 3 or whatever. I mean, you
there's
see,
a 5K run too.
Yeah, you see so many races, so it's cool.
I think
It's
that's the
exciting.
cool thing about cyclocross in general is how great it is for spectators, because it's not this out and back race or a point to point race where
Right.
you see
for
them
5
leave
seconds.
and then you see them come back. You can
Right.
you can watch these constant laps and it's a much better atmosphere for spectators.
And they have it set up so that you can move around the course to various points, and there's places where the course wraps around, and so you can get out kind of on these like islands where you're like, they'll come by you and they wrap around 180 degrees and come back by you again, and so
Awesome. Yeah, also this weekend, and Brett, you could probably talk a little bit about this too, is the end of the CPS racing series.
Oh, yes.
Is it Addison Hills?
Addison Oaks.
Addison
Yep.
Oaks.
That is actually not a course that I've ridden or raced even. Raced or ridden, I guess you would say. But yes, that was the series finale, and so it's all wrapped up. Speaking of broken collarbones, my season was actually cut short from the Sweat Shaker race up at Mid-Michigan Community College, where I crashed randomly and broke my other collarbone. So I had planned on doing some of those end of the season CPS races, but I just wasn't able to because of that. And then
Real
tapering for the Marjorie.
Real quick, what is the CPS series? I don't think we've really talked about this on the podcast at all.
Don't look at me. I'm not a mountain biker.
I'm not.
That is it's the MMBA, the Mid-Michigan, the Michigan Mountain Biking Association puts on the Championship Points Series, and it's a series of 10 races, and they count the points. You have to do 5 races to qualify for the points series. So it's just based on where you finish in the races, and you accumulate points. You get 35 points for a first place, and then I think it's either a point or 2 down from there. So second place gets like 34 or 33, and so on down. So, and then at a certain point you get so many points just for being in the race and finishing. But
And how many races does it stretch over the season?
there's 10 races in the
Okay.
season. And then, like I said, you have to do 5 to qualify for the points.
Now,
So-
Addison Oaks, where in the state is that?
That is over north of Detroit.
Okay. And then, do you know when when their series starts in the year?
The series kickoff is generally at Yankee Springs. It's the Yankee Springs Time Trial. So that's generally the start of the CPS series season.
Have results been posted
They
yet?
should have been, and actually, for my team, Spin, we had a couple of podiums. Kevin Galbavi, I believe, got second in the Clydesdale category. Another guy, Bruce Caldor, got second in the sport, I think 50 to 59, or maybe 50 to 55 category. So we had some good showings for the team. I was pretty excited about that.
And I don't mean to correct you, but it's our team.
Yeah, all 3 of us
Yeah.
are on this team.
We all.
Well, yeah, actually, we had. Yeah, we had actually some good results for our team, the Spin team. We took home a couple podiums.
You don't have to correct yourself. I'm gonna put that exact thing in there.
We don't edit
You
this.
guys are noobs. You guys are noobs.
We are.
so
I mean, yes, we don't.
This was my first
you don't
season.
partake in the
mountain biking.
bike, right?
Yeah.
This was
but-
my first year with Spin.
and same with me. So I understand.
you're-
I understand.
And you guys don't race mountain bikes, but
Are we in the
so
probationary period? Or
yes,
something?
you are. So you better watch it. But so our team did well. My bad. But it's a good season. It's a fun thing. Like the races, especially if you do the ones I do generally are close, like Yankee, Custer, which is in towards Battle Creek, the Mid-Michigan Community College up at Harrison, I believe it is. Then you can do Island Lake, and I forget which other one. There's another one that's pretty close, so it's not too bad if you want to do those races. You don't have to travel particularly far. One of the reasons I hadn't done Addison Oaks to this point is because of sort of it's like 2 or 2.5 hours to get there. Even though it's as the crow flies, it's really not that far away, but it's just kind of one of those places that there's no really good way to get there from Lansing. So
yeah,
so it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Some of the races are put on by various organizers, but a lot of them are put on by Brent Walk and John Ford also puts on. They do like the calculation of the points, and so those two guys do tons of work to put this on for everybody, and there's always just great turnout for the races, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of good competition, a lot of camaraderie, a lot of there's some people that I raced with my first year in beginner class that I still talk to all the time and communicate on Strava and on Facebook and different things, and so a lot of nice people that I've met through racing through there, and just had a lot of fun. And it's fun to see the familiar faces as you race a little bit more and more. You get to know people, and it's real friendly competition. So
very cool.
Very cool. I agree.
Well, what else we got going on here?
Well, I think it's time to talk about the
hold on. I want to
main subject.
Can I at least talk a little bit about how my week has been in the Midpack?
I guess.
Maybe. How was it?
You got new bar tape.
I got new bar tape for my gravel bike. Yeah,
Sexy.
for sure. Yeah, it looks good. Orange.
I bet it looks really sweet on
match Brett's team, the Spin Cycling Club. Colors.
Foot in mouth.
No, real quick, I want to talk about a couple things I did this last weekend. I did not race, but on Friday I went out for quite a few miles. I got 115 miles in preparation for my October race, Unpaved, in Pennsylvania. And I stayed mostly on gravel, a little bit of road, just because that's all I had to get from gravel road to gravel road. I had to get some paved roads in there. And then about 70 miles in, I found some sweet single track over in the Ionia State Recreational Area, and that was a welcome surprise. So it was a killer
I saw
ride.
The pictures on Instagram, and that single track looked absolutely amazing. I didn't even know that there was any up there.
Well, speaking
was
of
that at the Ionia?
Yeah, speaking of CPS series, I think that's part of that a little bit.
It is not, but
I
that
thought
is
I
a
saw
nice
a
trail
sign.
there. It is a nice trail there.
There is a kind of a railed trail that runs right along the river, right along the Grand River through the Ionian, in between Saranac and Ionia. And so I was on that because I knew that was a part of the route I wanted to take. And then I was just looking off into the woods, and I kept seeing this trail. And so I went to investigate a little bit, and I noticed that, this is a legit mountain bike trail. And I didn't know where it was going to take me. I just, in true Sheldon style, just went for it.
I'm rubbing off on it.
Yeah.
Did you ford any rivers, though?
No, I did not ford any rivers.
Well, it was a failure. We don't want to hear about the rest of this ride.
But it was just a great loop. It took me right back to where I started, and it was I think it was pretty good preparation. I want to get one more of these big rides in the next couple weeks before I head over to the Susquehanna Valley for Unpaved. But I'm getting pretty excited for it.
Side note: there is actually a bridge out on that trail where you could ford a river. I'm just saying.
All the bridges were working.
Hey,
well, maybe they fixed it.
when are we going?
Let's leave right now.
That's a great ride, though, from this area, following some gravel out there. We've done that a couple times. I think I did it with Jaron and Mitch, and we did a century out that way. And hit that Ionia Trail, did a couple loops, and came back. It was pretty fun. It was good times.
Sheldon, I went and I hit the that little section in Portland.
The seasonal road.
Yeah, the seasonal road there, and that was a lot of fun. And then I kind of went out of Portland and tried to got over.
Was it wet or?
It was a little wet. It started raining on me a little bit. But
I remember that day we got.
But
rain.
it wasn't so wet that it didn't really do too much to the road. But yeah, it was a good ride. And then a few days ago, I went over to DTE Trail over near Chelsea, the Waterloo recreational area.
Pinckney, Stockbridge, all that stuff. Yeah.
Is that the
Sheldon?
new one?
There is a new section of it.
Okay.
But
it's a newish trail
newish
system,
trail,
but
single track mountain bike.
Sick trail.
It is some of the best. I know some diehard mountain bikers think maybe it's a little easy, but it's all flow, super smooth. I love it. And I was thinking, Sheldon, you need to get your single speed out there and ride, because I rode for 3 hours. I didn't even ride it twice. I rode it like most of the laps twice, but one I didn't, and it was still a 3-hour ride. And for your upcoming Iceman,
When are we going?
Yeah, seriously, you need to get out there and ride this. I think it
down.
would be a great, like a gravel bike could do it. I mean, there's like a couple rock sections, but you can always go around them. There's one log in the whole thing. This is like 22 miles or something now. It's like one single log that you have to jump over, but you can
the
still.
whole thing's
Can
pretty.
you bunny hop it, or?
No, it's big. You get the ride over, but you'd be fine. It's like the trail's like a water slide. I mean, it's so smooth and machine graded. But
It's an amusement park. Yeah, you feel like
so
it's a
fun,
ride. I mean,
so fun.
and it's all buffed out, and so it's incredible. You just have a smile on your face the entire time.
I did that century out there a few weeks ago, and I just couldn't get enough. I was having so much fun.
You did a
I
century
just
on
couldn't-
DTE?
Yeah.
I thought you were doing it over in Yankee Springs.
Nope. Well, we were gonna go over there, but that
Yeah.
didn't work out, and we changed gears and
100 miles on
DTE.
Yankee Springs would kill you, I think.
That would hurt for sure. That's what I was hoping for. But so
Sure.
I just ended up. I got over there and with Jaron and Ned, and we just kept going. And those guys kicked off at like 45 miles, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see how many I can get here. And got to 70. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try for the 100. So
Was that your first big ride after coming back from your
yeah,
motorboat?
yep, it was. So
Did they have
everything
the-
went good, and
Do they have the sugar loop
they
open?
did. And I only rode that once. That
Yeah.
one time because it was gnarly.
It was a little more.
It was real climby, and it was like
It
I
is-
didn't want to chance having an issue, so to speak.
I think
being
it
a
needs to be
crash.
ridden a couple more times. Like maybe like next year it'll smooth out a little bit. You could tell it's a little fresh.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It
but
wasn't bad, but yeah.
No,
I mean,
it's
it
great.
just- it was
I did it twice.
it was more risky than I wanted to be for
Mm-hmm.
being as fresh off my injury as I was. So, but yeah. So I'm just saying, like I was having so much fun on this trail that I just didn't want to stop. I mean, it's so amazing, and for sure you should try it.
Yeah,
Oh,
as soon as those 40s come in,
Yeah.
The only thing that I think you need to worry about is some of the jump lines. You know, if you get on a noodle bar bike, you're going to be a little bit awkward, I think, on those. But you can just slow down, or I mean, you can probably send it with that thing too. But you just gotta
that's all you
make
can
sure
do
you
is
know what you're
always
doing.
just send it.
There
Not
you
me.
go.
I slowed down to a crawl and I just like right over it. I'm the biggest wimp when it comes to that stuff. But no, so I've been riding my mountain bike a little more because of Lord of the Springs that I'm doing this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend.
So
That's
we
gonna be an
will.
awesome race.
It will be, and I think the weather's gonna be perfect. It's supposed to rain a little bit in the area right before it, so I think all the sand, because it is in a really sandy area of
It's
the
really
state.
sandy right now too.
Yeah.
Like I've heard, it's real sandy. So if there's some rain ahead of time, that
Yep.
is gonna make it primo.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that and getting some racing on my mountain bike. But yeah, I had to put some time on the mountain bike for sure.
Now, quick question on that course, because
On
you've
which
done
one,
it.
DTE or Lord of Springs?
Lord of the
Yankee.
Springs. Do you? So we kind of talked about this, but we weren't sure. Is it on yellow loop?
Well, there's the loops out at Yankee. It's directional. There's a warm up loop that's off the parking lot that's like maybe 2 miles, and then the other main loop is 11 miles, and there's an orange way and there's a yellow way. So I
so
don't
it just
yeah
depends on
Yeah, I
it's
thought
the
it was-
direction.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know which portions of the trail they actually do that because I've never done it. But part of it is the Yankee course. Part of it is the Barry Roubaix course.
As I
Gravel.
understand it, I think we hit the whole Yankee
Okay.
course. So we
Okay.
do like half of it, and then we go back out into the
that
gravel
makes
road,
sense,
and then
and
we
then you
do
come
the
back and
second
do the other half.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it is whatever direction
that
Saturday
Midlands.
is, because they can't necessarily close it down for the race. I think it's still open to anyone that wants to ride
Got
that
it.
day, but it's the correct direction.
Now, do you hit Sager Road at all?
Oh yeah, yep. I think we might do it both directions.
Oh, that'll be fun.
So yeah, as I remember from last year, it was very sandy, and
Now that thing is like full gas, just railing, right?
I think my heart rate was like average 187 the whole time. I mean, it was for
187 murder killer.
it was it was maybe 2 hours 15 minutes. I thought maybe it would be a
It's a tornado warning.
okay. Just
Hear
keep
the
us
sirens. Yikes!
Keep
Watch
us-
your warning.
I just hope it doesn't knock out our internet.
All right, so yeah, we're coming back to recording after a severe thunderstorm rolled through yesterday.
Welcome back, everybody. We are back.
Yeah, we had a brief, a 24-hour delay because of the storm. But,
Tornado warnings,
Tornado warning.
touchdowns, all that
Yeah,
good stuff.
we heard some of our listeners in Grand Rapids probably got rattled pretty good last night.
But luckily, we were all safe here in mid-Michigan, Lansing area. But I think we should move on and maybe talk about...
Our main course.
I think we should talk about our main subject for sure. Marji Gesick. Ready, Brett?
Just like with the race, I'm as ready as I'll ever be. So.
All right, fresh meat time.
Let's do it.
Definitely.
Okay, Brett. So you came here yesterday, but ready to record with 4 themed beers.
Yes.
And these beers, I think, are a great introduction to what the Marji Gesick is. So will you explain the beers and then how they correspond with the Marji Gesick?
Yeah, I hand selected these beers for that, the evening yesterday, based on some of the Marji type stuff. So the first one that we had was the Sierra Nevada Narwhal Imperial Stout. The Narwhal is basically a unicorn whale. So if anybody knows anything about Marji, there's a unicorn that leads out the race. So I thought that was apropos for that. We went from there to the Expedition Stout. That's a Bell's beer. That's just kind of, the whole race is just an expedition. It's an adventure.
Of course, yeah.
From there, we went to the Delusion. That's Greenbush.
I think
out
it's
of
pretty
Sawyer,
self-explanatory.
Michigan. Yeah, Delusion. I was definitely having delusions when I signed up for this race because I had no idea what I was getting into.
I feel like you've had 2 delusions with this race.
Well, I've had several delusions over the year, I think.
I don't think you still don't know what you're getting
No,
into.
I don't, and that's the thing. It's but with the whole new series and the 100-mile races and kind of the challenge that I took on this year, it's been I'm over my head, but we'll see what happens. So the last one though was the 120,
which we're drinking now.
Correct, Dogfish Head, 120-minute IPA. Just because, who knows? For all I know, it's a Todd Poquette and Danny. Danny might make the race 120 miles. So who knows?
But it's an over 100-mile race
Right.
for sure. But the actual distance is a little
Right. It's the Marji Gesick 100. I believe in 2017 it was 111, 112 miles. Yeah. So they're not afraid to give you bonus miles.
And not all the miles are riding your bike.
Oh, right, exactly. The Le Mans start. So that's just kind of, the race organizers, that's one of their things, is just to kind of make things kind of different, hard, funny, kind of just a combination of
sadistic.
things. Sadistic, definitely. And Danny Hill, the main race course designer, one of his quotes is, it's fun in kind of a sick sort of way. So it's definitely. So the race starts out actually off your bike. You have to run about a mile or a mile and a half around the course back to your bike, and then you can get on your bike and take off
and then
for the
proceed
100 miles.
from there. Okay, well, first of all, Brett, super creative way. First, thank you for bringing those beers that we can.
My pleasure.
That we
You're welcome.
shared them and are sharing them now. Super creative way to introduce the Marji Gesick. But let's back up a little bit. Let's talk maybe just the bare details of what exactly the Marji Gesick is. So it is coming up in a couple weeks in the weekend of September
21st.
September 21st.
My last day on Earth.
Could be.
You've been having nightmares about this day, haven't you?
And this is a Upper Peninsula race. Does it start in Ipswich?
Starts in Marquette and it ends in Ishpeming.
So it's a point to point.
Yes, correct.
And do you offhand know how long this race has been going on? Not too long, right?
I should know. I think the first race was 2015 or 2016. So it's probably around maybe it was 2014. It might be the 5th installment.
Okay, so it's relatively recent, but yeah, and in those 100 question mark miles, you will be riding some gnarly terrain. This year will be your first year.
Yeah, so
what do you know about the terrain that you will be getting yourself into?
I know it'll be some of the gnarliest stuff that I've ever ridden, bar none, head and shoulders above, difficulty-wise, technical-wise. It's gonna be rough. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also sort of not looking forward to it. I'm definitely apprehensive about going into this without having ridden this area before. So
you've never been up there to
I've
ride?
Never been up there. I've ridden up there.
What's
in
your
the
problem,
winter time,
Brett?
but
Like, why
I know. Well, it's because it's like 6 hours
This is like
away.
Sheldon planning right here.
Delusional.
Right. Just drop in and see what happens. Yeah, for sure. But
Now, speaking of riding, what bike are you going to be riding for this?
I'll be riding my my Scalpel. It's a
Cannondale?
2018 Cannondale Scalpel.
Have you
Full
decided on
suspension.
tires?
I just made a decision on tires today, so I'll be running a Maxxis Minion front and a Maxxis Ardent rear.
And
So
which diameter are you running?
29s. So and they'll
Or I
be
should say width, I'm sorry.
it's they're both 2.4s.
Okay.
So for my regular XC races, I have Racing Rons on there, and or maybe that's Racing Ralphs.
Racing Ralphs.
Yeah, but so they're 29 by 2.25. So, and those are more XC, fast, high rate of rolling, high rolling speed, if you will. But so these other tires are definitely way chunkier. The Minion, it's actually a DHF, so it's more like a downhill tire. So I'm looking to be able to hook up on these rocks and get some traction up these climbs and hopefully give her hell. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've witnessed online from this race is not what you would call a fast race.
Well, I mean, we were, and I think we're gonna link to this YouTube video we were watching last night. That kind of does an overview of the race. I think it's a great introduction to what the race is, and then also the terrain. But it looked like there were some fast, buffed out single track, but then also there was some of the gnarliest trail, lots of sharp rocks, and
you're gonna hit everything from some single track jump lines to some twisty turny technical stuff to some super gnarly hike a bike uphill climb boulder encrusted just crazy stuff to some descents down pure rock faces and like not even like boulders but like just huge like bedrock faces that you're going down these rocks. So it's gonna be rocks, roots, twists, turns, everything.
So when did you sign up for this race?
I signed up for it. You had to sign up for it. Like I think it sold out in like 4 hours or something like that. It maybe not even that. It might have been quicker than that. Basically, the day that they released it, so to speak. For some reason there was some sort of technical error or technical difficulty with Bike Reg, and it ended up going on sale at like midnight for like an hour. That was before it was supposed to, and some people got
Facebook was blowing
up.
really?
So people were like kind of, we're not really supposed to spread this news, but hey,
it's open.
Little birdie told me
it's open.
Oh yeah,
that it's
open.
open.
All of a sudden my feed was like,
Going
anybody that's
nuts.
doing Marji,
Yeah.
sign up now.
So I signed up right then and there, and
What time
took
of
the
year was
plunge.
this? Do you?
I think
remember?
it was like
It was March.
October or November. I mean, it was early in the year. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's
Of last year?
Yeah. I mean, they released it. I think pretty close after the end of the race. Last year. So pretty close
and then,
to a year in advance.
And then my follow up is, what inspired you to even attempt this? I mean, you're right now. You're sitting here. You're apprehensive a little. You're excited with a big dose of doubt or a big dose of
I'd
What
go
am I
back-
doing?
Yeah.
of appropriate
Right.
not respect.
and-
Thank you.
And
But
yeah.
so like what?
I'll get back to the delusion beer that we talked
I
about.
guess so.
I had done the Lumberjack 100 in 2018, and that was my kind of introduction to the
the
ultra
longer-
endurance type stuff.
Was that your first 100-mile mountain bike race?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I had ridden centuries on the road
Sure,
bike and
yeah.
done some other type of stuff, but yeah, for actual racing, that was the first show. So coming off of that, I was feeling pretty proud of myself for completing that, and I mean I didn't knock it out of the park, but I did well for what I wanted to complete in under 10 hours, and I ended up under 9 hours. So I was pretty stoked about that.
Say so.
And so I guess I, kind of, and we talked about the CPS series in the sport class. I had won a bunch of races there and won the series for the year. So I guess I maybe was feeling pretty good about myself and just looking to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really looking to take it to like 10 extra levels though. So
Yeah, because this race, so I'm sure most of our listeners know who Jeremiah Bishop is. On the back of your shirt, it has a quote from Jeremiah Bishop. What does it say?
it says the hardest single day event in North America.
Yeah. And that says a lot coming from Jeremiah Bishop, pro mountain biker.
Right.
Basically
Who
specializes.
won it last year.
Yeah, and his focus is almost 100-mile mountain bike races.
That's
Yeah.
So you signed up last year, basically, essentially, and then you've had this in the sights this entire season. Talk a little bit about your preparation. I know you did some big races, a couple hundreds, a few. Did you
Yes,
do lumberjack? You did lumberjack again.
I did lumberjack again,
But then you
and
did-
with Marji that I had signed up for. Then I just decided that I would do the National Ultra Endurance Series from there, the new series, NUE. So I basically, I just kind of did my normal training regimen of riding the trainer and doing some high intensity stuff and doing some longer endurance type stuff and just getting ready. I was intending to do the CPS series again in the expert class, coupled with some of these longer events just to get my feet wet and that type of thing. So I started out with the Cohutta 100 and basically just had no idea what I was getting into. So I went to that.
early spring.
That was in
right?
early April, end of April.
End of April.
And that just, once I got there, I got like 40 miles in, and I was like, oh, I've made such a big mistake.
That's where is Calhutta?
It's in Tennessee.
Tennessee,
It's in
okay.
the southern part of Tennessee, and actually the majority of the races in northern Georgia.
Oh, okay.
So it's in the
it's
mountains.
that
I
far
mean, it's
south.
in the proper mountains, but yeah, it's pretty far south. But so, yeah, I just 40 miles into that, my legs were blown, and I looked at my Garmin, and I had climbed like 3,000 feet, and the race was 12,000, and I had 60 miles and 12,000 or 9,000 feet left to go. That was not a good place to be. Not a good place to be.
Did you want to sell your bike after that?
Well, actually, I called my girlfriend from the mountaintop, and I told her that
Mid race during
yes,
the race.
mid-race, I pulled over. I made the phone call. Actually, I think I was still spinning up a hill, but I called her up and I said, well, it's been great, but I already got this beard, and I'm on top of this mountain here, and I'm not sure if I'm going to make it off of it, so I guess I'm just going to be a mountain man, and
I'd buy your moonshine.
here I'll be. Yeah, I'll make moonshine and whatever. But so I mean I was in a bad place to have that realization, and that just kind of set me up to kind of realize that maybe I've bitten off more than I can chew for this whole Marji business. So I finished the Cohutta. I made it through, and that was the hardest thing I had ever done on a bike. And you guys know, I mean, that Sheldon and I did the split in the mitten ride. That was 333 miles that we did the year before in October.
Yeah.
And so we're no stranger. And that was, from the Ohio border to the Mackinac Bridge. I think we had 18 and a half hours of saddle time, 23 hours total time. So we're no strangers to going long distances and grinding things out. But
Cohutta was
Cohutta
a different
a different deal.
game,
Just
yeah.
the sustained climbing, and so anyways, short story long, that was the hardest thing I'd ever done. So then fast forward, I get to Mohican, that's in central Ohio, which I'm thinking, central Ohio, how bad could it be?
Cornfields.
Yeah. Again,
This is
hardest thing I'd ever done.
So it topped Calhutta.
Yep.
This was maybe a month later.
Yep. It was in June, so
Okay.
about a month and a half later. Yep. So then, yeah, I had quite a season at that point, doing the two hardest things on a bike I'd ever done. So
now when you crossed the finish line at Cohutta, I mean, this one kind of spread amongst our group. Can you tell us what happened when you got to the finish line?
I had enough. I got to a point in that race where I kind of wasn't having any more fun, and it was long, it was hard, it was gnarly, it was grinding, and I'd had enough. And I got to the finish line, and I sprinted as hard as I could right up to the finish line, and I locked up both brakes, skidded sideways 1 foot past the finish line, rolled my bike over into the grass, it fell into a pile, and I said, I'm done. I'm not riding 1 foot more.
And you were back out riding with us, 3 days later?
Well, yeah.
4 days
but
later?
Was
I
there
had some proposals I was selling my bikes. I was not going to ride anymore, but yeah. The next day, I reconsidered, so.
was there a sense then, as you're riding Calhutta, as you're riding Mohican, did you have in the back of your mind
A sense of impending doom?
Yeah.
Yes.
for Marji?
There was
Yes.
a dark cloud over things.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's just been. I know some people that have ridden it, and I've talked to a lot of people. I've watched a lot of videos. I've looked at a lot of pictures, and it's Marji's in my head. Marji lives in a little spot in the back of my head right here, and it's just. I don't know.
So-
we'll see what happens.
So
but-
this race has some very, very unique features.
But we talked earlier, like the unicorn rollout,
There's
the Le Mans style run.
What's,
Right,
the, what's,
right.
the name,
Start.
what's the name of the unicorn?
I don't know, honestly.
I thought it was Quitter.
Oh well, that could be. It could be.
I
There's
thought-
actually
I thought on
no.
Instagram it was
You're right.
Quitter.
You're right. There's a stuffed pink unicorn that is named
Quitter
Quitter the
the
Unicorn.
Unicorn.
This is not the lead out unicorn.
No,
but
not-
yes.
not the live
So
unicorn.
the way that you have to notify the race organizers that you have mechanicaled out or not been able to cut the mustard is you have to text Quitter to the race organizer.
And it's on your number plate.
Right. Well, right.
The
And
number
they
is,
know who
yeah.
it's coming from because they have your phone number and all. So the first person to text Quitter has won
This
Quitter,
unicorn.
the pink unicorn, the pink stuffed unicorn. So
Yeah, that is cruel.
So it's like the booby prize, basically.
And so this is an unsupported race. And then throughout the course, there's...
Unsupported as in, like they say, flat out. If you have problems, don't call us. Call 911.
Are you allowed to have outside support?
You can have people that will help you. They're supposed to be sort of neutral. There's not any like official aid stations. There are some people that are involved. I shouldn't say involved, but just people
like
that know about the
unofficial,
race.
yeah.
They call them trail angels, and so there's people that will set up things. And
Can you have drop bags?
so you can have a drop bag at a certain point that you will pass twice. I think it's 65 and 85 miles.
Okay.
Jackson Mine Park. So you can have your own drop bag there, and then you can have people meet you at certain points. But like I said, they're supposed to be kind of neutral. So if you stop and there's
Other
10
people
other
with
people
you.
there, they're supposed to also provide
similar to
aid.
the Crusher,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Yeah, yep.
So, and then along the course, there's multiple points that you have to pick up tokens.
Correct. Yep. There's going to be an unknown number of checkpoints, if you will, where you have to find it first of all, and then it shouldn't be like hidden or anything, but you have to stop and grab a wooden nickel or a wooden coin to prove that you have been through the entire course.
And
so
if
that's
you
their way
miss
of keeping you honest.
And if you miss a single one,
DQ'd.
get immediately DQ'd.
Yep.
Now,
It doesn't matter if you miss it, if it fell out of your pocket, if a
You
bear
have
ate
to-
it. You're,
I mean, it is the UP, so
You're
you
done.
can't write off anything. Now, first place has quite the prize.
Yes. There's
what do you win?
Yeah, first prize is very lucrative. If you win the Marji Gesick, you get $1.
So for North America's hardest one-day event, you get
a buck. Good old greenback. And actually, this year they're doing for super insane old people. They're doing the out and back. So these guys start Friday night, and they have to be to the start of the race. They start in Ishpeming and come back. They have to be to the start of the race at the same time by 7 a.m. to go back out with all the racers. And
so they have like a cutoff time for the halfway point.
Yep. And so
do they have to then also run again?
That I don't know. I don't know if they have to do them. I bet you they do. I would say being that the sadistic rate, yes, I would say that they do. And so they're doing 200 miles in the out and back. I heard that if they're the first one there, they'll get $1 for that. But then if they're the first one back to the to the end of it, then they have to get the $1 back. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it's weird.
So they're gonna have like 26,000 feet of climbing.
No more. So yeah, so the race before was 11,000, 12,000, and this year it was advertised as 100 miles, which we know is going to have bonus miles, and advertised as 12,000 feet of climbing. They just came out with the GPX files and like the official race course, and it's like 105 or 6 miles or something like that, and almost 14,000 feet of climbing.
You're basically gonna Everest.
You're gonna Everest on a Marji, out and back.
Wow.
Yes.
Now
that is insane.
I saw Matt Jenny's doing the
Matt Acker.
Jenny Acker's doing the out and back.
The out and back. Matt's doing the 100, but
Jenny's doing the out and back.
She's doing the out and back, and Matt posted her bike. I
saw that, but I didn't realize she was doing the out and back.
That is savage. Well,
Jeez,
they rode out to the Fargo.
Yeah, and then back. Yep.
And then back, and then they still did the entire thing.
And I was all like talking up my 100-mile gravel ride the other day. Jeez.
I have 13 miles this week.
Well, yeah, they're on another level, that's for sure. And if I think Jenny will do it. I mean, I think she'll grind it out.
I have no doubt that she's going to complete it. It's going to be.
That's awesome.
So there is a time cutoff. I think it's like 2 p.m. Sunday. So she's going to have her work cut out, but I could see her making it.
I know Mark Krantz is doing the out and back.
Yep.
Do you know of anybody else that we know
of? I don't know if Roy Krantz is doing the out and back. He might be.
I haven't heard about that.
I think there's only like 25 or 30 people. You had to apply to do it.
Yeah,
you had to apply with your credentials, and they had to approve you to do it.
So what about other people that are just doing the only doing the 100?
Doing the 100.
So is like Jeremiah Bishop coming back? Do we know that?
Sadly, he's not.
He's not.
Tinker will be back. Tinker Juarez will be back. Our friend Mitch DeYoung is doing it again.
Sebastian
is doing it. I know some people that are doing the 50.
They do have a shorter distance. Now, one of our spin teammates that we cannot leave out, Jameson.
Oh my God, we have to talk about this. Yeah.
So there is a 100-mile run.
So Jameson is a friend of ours. He rides with us. He's a beast on the bike, but his true love is
a legend
trail
on
running.
His feet.
Yeah, and there is the trail. So is this? Am I right in it's kind of the opposite where they need a bike?
Yes.
So
for the first
mile. There again, you get the sadistic race organizers.
So and for the ride, you have a Le Mans style start where you run to your bike, but for the trail run, you need a bike.
They have to have a bike, and they ride a mile around the loop, and then they can start their run.
So just to put some extra pressure on Jameson, we're putting this on the podcast. I think you should ride my bar bike.
The bar bike would be sick.
You need to take the bar bike.
That would be incredible.
They need to have a bike. They need to have a helmet.
So we were watching that.
They should make them have a water bottle or a snorkel or something like that.
The Crusher, you need a snorkel.
Jameson took second place in the 50-mile Crusher, and he said it was the hardest run And he does.
He had
100
just
miles
he
regularly.
did he do the Mohican or the Calhutta?
He did Mohican run.
And then he did, what was that?
Oh, he did some other.
Ohio one. He didn't tell us that he was going to. We were at a barbecue.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he just texts me and goes, "Hey, I took second
place, yeah.
place in a 100-mile." He ran that one in like 13 hours.
Yeah, he told me later that his 100-mile run that he took second place was easier than the 50-mile crusher run that he did. I think it took him longer to do the 50 miles than the 100 miles.
The crusher run was completely unmarked. They literally ran through a forest. It wasn't on paths. They were given a GPS file.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just straight up through a forest. No trail.
So for the run for the Marji, there's only a few finishers
Ever. Yeah.
2017
we were-
had one.
Well, we were watching the 2017 video, and
Right.
that was the first time
Some guy
anyone's ever finished
or something like that.
And then
running
last
it.
year had over a 50% failure rate. I think it was like they had like 6 or 7 finishers, but they like 14 people tried.
I would believe it if it was single digits that's ever finished it.
So
And you don't get a buckle unless you finish in under. So this tells you how hard it is. 33 hours.
that is,
Wow.
I can't imagine doing anything for 33
So you think about
hours.
Jameson ran the one in 16 hours?
Yeah.
And he got second place. This one, like, so tell the whole Marji belt buckle thing. There's a whole.
So yeah, we talked about the lucrative monetary value of the first prize, but the actual thing that people want to get is the belt buckle. There's Gordon, this blacksmith in Marquette, hand forges these belt buckles that say Marji Gesick 100.
And these are
it's
rough.
just
These aren't like the Leadville, like, polished.
Right, it's like a
these are
forged in steel, kind of like the race. It's just it's hardcore, rough, gnarly. Like it's just
straight
but it's
hammered out.
yeah, it's exactly, and it's just the principle of the thing, so to speak. But yeah, if you finish the 100-mile race in under 12 hours, I wouldn't be surprised if you finished at 12 hours flat, if they wouldn't give it to you, but so under 12 hours,
under 12, yeah,
you get a buckle, and there again, even there's maybe like probably 10-ish, 10, 15 maybe at the most per year they get that. So just for an example, Jeremiah Bishop won it last year, and I think he might have been the first one to dive under 10 hours, or he was maybe just right at that 10-hour threshold. So just to give you a little sort of idea or a thumbnail of what that means, the other 100-mile races that I had competed in, Cohutta, Mohican, and Lumberjack, the winner was right around like 6 hours, 50 minutes, 7 hours ish.
4-hour difference.
So well, not quite, but so 3 hours. But yeah,
Ballpark,
solid 3 hours. So yeah, so then he had finished. The winner of the Marji was 3 hours later at 10 hours. And so I think there's only been one person to beat sub 10 hours.
Oh my god.
So yeah, so 12 hours gets you a belt buckle. Barely anybody does that. I finished Cohutta and Mohican in about 9 hours 40 minutes. I finished Lumberjack this year, I think in like 8 hours 15 minutes or something like that. So I'm gonna have my work cut out for me if I finish just based on those timings. 3 hours behind the winner. If I finish in 13 hours, I'll be ecstatic. I mean, I'll be pretty stoked if I finish at all.
You just want to see that finish.
20 hours.
Yeah.
But so my realistic goal is like under 15 hours. I'll be pretty happy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would like
Belt
to
buckle
have,
or no belt buckle,
Well, yeah.
you finish. And,
right.
Well, I mean,
and you
this
finish
course is
healthy.
notorious just even for mechanicals. Like, you could be the strongest rider in the world.
Absolutely.
In this course, I mean, our friend Sebastian, how many miles in? He tore the sidewall out of a tire.
Yep, Sebastian. He cut his tire.
Like 20-ish miles in, I think he said he
10 or 20. Yep.
Yeah.
And he was
And-
able to
but then
kind
he-
of limp it along.
but
And
he
actually
still
made
got
it
90
really
miles,
far.
he said, yeah.
Yep. But then by that time he had planned to finish before dark, and then just because of the delay, he wasn't able to. So he had to sort of
Just
cash out and
see you next year.
Call it a day and save his, he didn't want an injury from navigating through the dark and without a light, and so it was what it was. But then also Mitch mechanicaled out also. He blasted his rim on one of the rocks and wasn't able to continue. His tire wouldn't hold air. So absolutely, I'm going to take a headlight and a bar light, and I'll probably take spares in my bag, in my drop bag. So at 85 miles, I'll be able to pick up a couple
Gauge
lights.
your time and just kind of go with that.
Yep. So I mean, if worst case, and I have to, I might not take the headlight with me from the beginning. I might pick it up at 65, and then in case things go really wrong and I'm it's dark before 85. But at that point, I'm definitely going to be picking up extra lights because I've heard that the end is very long and very difficult. So that's what I'm planning for. I'm planning for a long time.
There's not a sprint finish.
Well, there might be in the last 200 yards on the road or something.
But you're not getting any break.
Yeah, I'm gonna. My plan is just to save as much gas as I can and just ride safe and make it through it.
What are you planning on doing for your fueling?
I'm going to use a mixture of Hammer products and Infinite products just to sort of mix it up. I've had good luck with both of those. The Go Far for Infinite and Hammer Perpetuum and Heed mixture. I mean, not mixing together, but yeah, those products have been really stellar for me and have ended any cramping problems and running out of gas problems. So I've had real good luck. So I plan on just alternating those through the day, and supplementing that with some other maybe some Hammer race capsules and different things like that. Some BCAAs, and then probably some PBJs, some Cokes, things like that. Maybe a shot of whiskey at some point.
Yeah. Is this like a trackable thing? Do you have to have is there a way
Crusher, like Crusher had the GPS
is there a way
trackers.
to track you? Like, can we track your progress, or is just like if we don't hear from you for 20 hours, we just assume
I'm just gonna run a police scanner for like the local hospitals, and like a guy with a beard came in.
I think it's going to be sort of like, if anybody's familiar with the tracking for Iceman, they have like plates that you cross, timing plates that your
like
number
timing
plate,
mat
timing mat.
Yeah,
Timing mat. Your number plate will have the radio frequency chip, and so when you cross that, it'll log that, and I think you'll be able to real time check that out. But the Crusher had a little something different just due to this difficulty and the spread out distance and everything. They had the actual GPS units that the riders carried on their person. Yeah, so
well, it's 200 miles, or over.
That would be awesome if it would be super awesome if the race organizers utilized that same system again, even though it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty great to be able to. I mean, I know I've watched the Crusher guys, and I was smashing my F5 key to refresh that thing and just check the progress. I watched that race all day.
Nerd.
Literally, I watched it all. I played some games and hung out and surfed the web and smashed my F5 key and just watched that race the whole time from home. So anyways,
I'm just trying
I don't think there's anything like that. No.
Okay. Well,
so a light tie-in to a future episode, but it does relate to this. Pretty soon after you finish this, we have a pretty big ride coming up.
Oh, Lord.
What is your plan for recovery? Because I think you have about a week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I'm trying not to. I'm already trying not to think of Margie enough. In fact, my girlfriend has been referring to it as my other ride plans, and then the thing we're talking about now is my other ride plans. So we don't even say that word in my house right now. But
quick tease. It's going to be coming up in the next few weeks. We are doing it. This year's edition is called O Canada, and it's OH-Canada. It means the border of Ohio and Michigan up to Sault Ste. Marie, Canada.
Splitting the Mitten extended version.
Yeah, and Brett, you
quad century.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you talked about Splitting the Mitten from last year. This is your edition of it this year.
Last year was kind of came out of nowhere. It was really an online just banter between you and I.
Bad decisions.
Bad decision rides. We did a 333-mile ride up to the Mackinac Bridge from the border of Ohio and Michigan.
3 states, 3 guys, 333 miles.
28 degrees.
Yeah, that was cold.
But this year we're expanding it. We're getting carted across the bridge, and we're going up to the Sioux for a solid 400 miles. So
And I'm sure we will.
we are going to cover this.
We will cover a bit more of that. I don't want to get too far away from this Marji Gesick
We're gonna
topic,
live
though.
podcast it from the ride. I'm just kidding. That's not happening.
No, you got pretty
For
quiet
the
last
entire
year.
time. The live stream. the
No
whole
push
thing.
policy.
24-hour live stream. Yep. It'll just be me yelling at everybody else for going too fast.
Stop.
So, Brett, do you feel after this discussion, was this therapeutic for you? Do you feel better, or are you...
Oh no, I'm freaked out.
You're okay.
I feel like there's PTSD, and he hasn't even done it.
Yeah.
I'm like I said,
Pre-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes, absolutely. Marji lives in my head. It's the countdown to destruction, and I mean, I'm gonna do my best, and I just. This could be, I might get there and it might be a couple of crazy hard sections and a little bit of hike and bike, and it might be overhyped. I don't know. I don't feel like it is though. But I've just heard that from people that have done it, and maybe Mitch is just running me around. I don't know, but I've heard that like Mohican compared to Marji is child's play. And if we go back, you'll remember I said Mohican was the hardest thing on a bike I had done. So doing that 3 times in a year, possibly 4 if our quad century gets a little hairy. I don't know. It's going to be a good year. It's been a good year, but
I feel like after this, you're going to be at Meyer one day, and they're going to say over the intercom the name Todd, and you're going to dive into some clothing rack in the fetal position.
Definitely. Todd and Danny. Blame Todd, blame Danny. I'm blaming those guys for sure, because they've been living in my head for a couple months now. So
Well, I'm not sure if I should be jealous of you or pity you or...
I'm just staying back and watching with amusement.
Yeah. But best of luck. I mean, we will be watching your progress the best we can, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about, or like post about it on Instagram, and then we will have to have you back on and to see how, and
That'd be great.
a few of our other friends, Mitch, maybe Sebastian, Jameson running it.
Yeah,
I think we
we're
should
gonna
have
a good
we should do
collection
a-
here.
a Marji party back here.
Marji
talk,
Deluxe.
Talk about the you guys can swap war stories.
I feel like we're
and,
going to have just a bunch of shivering voices.
yeah. I don't want to talk about that ever. But
it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be epic. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm apprehensive in just in that I was you guys know I broke my collarbone June 29th in a race, and so coming off of that, I can only afford 1 major injury per year. So I'm just hoping that I can hold it to that quota. And
well, haven't you met your deductible already? Like,
Yeah, at this point, insurance
Well, no,
is
I'm
paying for it.
not. I'm not even talking about monetary, money wise.
Just emotionally.
Like, I mean, I'm right-handed, man. My right hand was out of commission for like 6 weeks.
Well, I remember
was not good.
right after your collarbone, you were actually talking about potentially selling your Marji spot.
Well, maybe for a hot second, but
I mean, it makes you reflect on your.
well, yeah,
decision,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, you 6 weeks in a sling, and say things go badly and that happens again, or something worse happens again. I mean, that lingers in your mind for sure. To
Absolutely.
have that pain and that downtime, and you have to have your wits about you the whole time, and I'm sure it's going to just come at you the whole time. It's going to be, you're going to have concentration, and if you have fatigue and if you get lazy, you're going to pay. So I'm looking to just go through it and
endure.
do it.
survive.
Well, best of luck to you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
And
it.
thank you for being here. This was great to talk through this. And
Sorry it took 2 days.
yeah, well, I mean, we can't control the weather. Hopefully the weather is not bad for you when you're up in the UP.
That is, we're doing the anti-rain dance. Me and Mitch and Sebastian, we're meeting daily to do the anti-rain dance. That'll be bad, very bad.
Thank you, Brett. We will definitely have you back on, talk about how it all went. I'm sure it'll be even more exciting than what we talked about here. So,
thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
So whether you're racing at Yankee Springs this weekend like myself or enduring one heck of a race up in the UP like Brett in a couple weeks at the Marji Gesick, always remember, keep your chain clean.
But get your chain dirty.
And we'll see you in the Midpack.
We hope we see you in the Midpack, Brett.
Yeah,
if you
we'll
don't
see
die.
about that in a few weeks.